If you clicked on this video, there's a very good chance that you love that nostalgic feeling of collecting video games. We kind of got to talking, what does the future of video game collecting hold? And we kind of feel like we need to enjoy this time while it lasts. What are we drinking today?
Today we're drinking Bourbon County Fog Stout. This is a stout aged in bourbon barrels blended with Earl Grey tea, black tea, and honey.
That sounds complicated, but I'm very excited to try it out. You know the drill. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell icon so you never miss one of our bi-weekly uploads. Sit back, relax, pour yourself an adult beverage if you care to, and let's see what the future holds of retro game collecting and why we should enjoy it while it lasts.
Hey everybody, I'm Spartan, and one of my favourite things to do is grabbing a good beer, kicking off my shoes, relaxing my socks, and watching one of my favourite YouTube channels, Gaming Off the Grid. Cheers.
So a while back, we did a video that got a lot of people talking in the community of, is retro game collecting pointless or is it useless? And I believe a lot of people were doing videos on it at the time. And just the other day, we were sitting here and we were talking, what do you think the future of video game collecting looks like? And I'm not talking tomorrow, next year. I'm talking 15, 20, 30 years from now. You know, as we get older, our generation maybe kind of phases out of it. What do we think the future holds? And we've got a lot of things that we think are going to maybe dwindle it down to where it's not as prevalent maybe as it is today.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to start going away. I mean, and yeah, like you said, not tomorrow, not today, but in the next like 5 to 10 years, I feel like it's really going to start happening, and it's not going to be a huge thing anymore. So let's just jump into the first topic I want to talk about, and that's like no cultural movement, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so like, I think what you're getting at is like there was that when the NES came out,
like
that
brought people together.
That feeling that every single household wanted an NES.
Yes.
It was an ultimate game changer. I feel like as things have kind of moved on, like let's say just look at 2020, there's so much more of a divided attention span. It's not all like narrowed in on one thing, like say the Nintendo or, you know, when the Super Nintendo came out and the N64. I feel like now there are kids that want the Oculus for Christmas. They want Google Stadia.
Yeah.
They want the new PS5. They want a Nintendo Switch. They want an Xbox One. So the nostalgia is scattered. It's not going to fire off in one narrowed, niched down area like maybe we seen when the NES kids got disposable income. Now, will there be nostalgia? Absolutely.
Yeah,
there always is
absolutely.
for kids to want something they had from their childhood.
But with all those different avenues going down, I feel like it's going to be a lot harder, and everything's going to be divided. You know, so there's only going to be that niche community that's like, oh, I remember Google Stadia. Oh, I remember the Xbox Series X. And it's just going to be a smaller group, and it's just going to be different, man. I remember like the Wii, for example, that was like a cultural movement. I feel like that brought families together.
Yeah.
I feel like the PS2 kind of did that too. I feel like every household had a PS2.
Yeah.
You know, it's
I
like
kind of feel like the Switch might be a highly collected for item. I feel like the Switch may be kind of doing that, but
not to the extent.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be to that where everything changed when you know something came out, and where you know the NES just screams the mid to late 80s. It just does. And I don't know that there is that thing currently. I also think a major contributing factor to video game collecting in the future, or lack thereof, is the fact that the digital age is so prevalent, maybe even as far back as the PS3 and Xbox 360. Yeah. To the point where, I'm not going to say this about the PS3 and 360 because you can still play those games natively on the disc, but PS4, Xbox One, and forward, the discs are, those kind of are useless. In many cases, they are just basically a download code. Yeah. You know, like a Call of Duty game maybe has 10 to 15 gigs or whatever on the disc, but then the rest of the game is all online. So what's going to be the point? And if those servers go offline, why would you need that physical media? Will kids collect that when they grew up in a digital age?
Well, if 10 to 15 years from now, you're like, man, I don't want to go back and play that Call of Duty game I remember playing. You go and put it in, it won't work. There's so many things that are online only. Like, once the servers are down, it's just like, it really sucks. And I know that that's the direction that media is going. It's going to be all digital.
Yeah.
And we've already talked about that in multiple different episodes, physical versus digital. But I just feel like it's not a good thing, man. It's just, once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah. I just think that there isn't going to be the nostalgia to have the physical item. I have a feeling, like if you got some of like your younger cousins or some of our friends' kids or, nieces, nephews, things like that, if you got them a DVD for Christmas, they would probably be like, we don't really do this.
Yeah, like what's this?
We watch Netflix on our tablet, bro. Like, I just don't think there's gonna be that draw to reclaim the physical media things you had as a kid because they don't have physical media. So I think that's gonna put a damper on video game collecting in the future, as us old dinosaurs might still be collecting the things from our childhood, but the current generation maybe will be going after it different ways in the future.
Yeah, and this kind of ties into digital media, but that is like the types of games and then all the annual releases. So like the new Maddens, the new Call of Duties. I feel like the people that play those, nothing wrong with those, but they just play the new one. They're not going to go back and play the old one. Or like Fortnite, for example. If you want to go back and play Fortnite in 10 years, good luck.
Better hope the servers are online.
Yeah, it's not going to be a thing.
Or you won't be able to play it necessarily in the way that your memory remembers you playing it. So if you want to go back and play, Call of Duty Civil War, which is the new one as we sit here today, but all your friends aren't online, and maybe that server's up, maybe it's not. To your point, you're going to go in and you're going to play it, and it's not going to give you that same nostalgia kick because it's not going to be the same experience you had. They're all kind of done in that annual traditional release mentality, and by the time we get that generation where they have disposable income, whether it be 20, 25 years down the road, Fortnite's going to be a very hard experience for them to relive. It's going to live on in their minds way better than it does in actuality, because when they get on, even if it happens to be online, which it probably won't, there'll maybe be like 500 people on there because they'll be playing the next big thing.
Well, and also, if it does stick around for a while and they have a certain memory of it, by the time they've updated it and changed things, they're going to get on and be like, this isn't what I remember.
Yeah.
This is similar, but like, what is this? There's going to be no way to go to that specific moment in time.
Yeah.
Because it's all online.
Yeah.
And they can just change it or delete it or get rid of it.
I think it's a really good point. I mean, I think that it's gone to this world for the most part where kids are playing your Apex Legends, just more of an online community gathering as opposed to, sitting down and playing some of your more isolated games, which I feel like are maybe more tailor fit for folks from our generation.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to know like the age demo of people, of kids, currently that are playing like Mario Odyssey versus Apex Legends versus Fortnite versus your Call of Duties versus your Minecrafts. It's crazy.
That would be a crazy graph.
Nintendo gets a little bit of the kids. They get some of the old dogs that still like their stuff, and I think a lot of the attention is deviated towards those online type of games.
Speaking of Nintendo, I feel like the last real generation that's going to be retro, or that is retro, is the Wii and the Wii U. The latest consoles that don't require internet. So like, we already brought up the PS3 and the Xbox 360. I feel like that's so heavy on the internet. I mean, there are some games, you can still play it offline.
Tons of updates and patches.
Yeah,
though, yeah.
Every time we go to play our PS3, it's like, there's a game update, and it's like, no, skip the update. But like the Wii and Wii U, I feel like you can put a game in and it just fires up. You don't need that update. I mean, obviously, there are some updates here and there.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you'll still be able to play those in 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, so, the PS3, 360 aren't as heavily reliant on patches and updates as the current gen, but they still are. But I think if you want to play a game natively on those and you don't have the internet connection or you were collecting for it and the servers will go down at some point, you're not going to be playing the best optimized version of that game. You're going to be playing like the day one version that is on said disc. And I think it's a great point that everything is so tied to the internet. I mean, it's just so intertwined in everything we do that it's going to be very hard to take years away from something, go back to it, and hope that information's still there.
Dude, speaking of that day one, it just got me thinking, sometimes you get a game on day one and you're super excited for it, and you put it in and it's super glitchy, it's super buggy, they just rush to put it out, and then obviously they release patches and upgrades. So in 10 to 15 years, you get that game and there's no online, so there's no way to update it. That game's going to be glitchy and buggy forever, so you're not going to really want to play it. It's going to be like stuck like that because they rush to get it out.
Yeah, I just think the wave of collectors, I think it'll start not being as a cool thing to do after the Wii U kids kind of cycle through. It's going to be very interesting to see how the collecting market goes for the PS4 and Xbox One.
Yeah.
As these new gens come out or they become a couple generations older, is the physical media going to be what people are going after? Because, there are some games on the PS4 to its credit, that run 100%. You can run just off a disc.
It's
a lot
awesome.
of your indie games, smaller releases,
games,
but a lot of your AAA releases, it's no bueno. You have to have that download to fully play the game.
Dude, speaking of physical media, it also got me thinking that nowadays all the physical media that comes out, it's usually just an empty shell. Like, there's not much that comes with it. You know, it's just the disc. It doesn't like back in the day when you're collecting and you go back, you get the manuals, you get like the posters, you get the
inserts for Nintendo Power.
You get all these cool things that takes you back to bit. Oh, I remember Nintendo Power, man. You go 10 to 15 years from now, you get a PS4 game and it's just the disc.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be as collectible because there's really nothing in it.
Well, and yeah, you're just not going to get that nostalgia kick. You know, anytime, and we don't go CIB very often, but anytime we do get one, and you pull out like the Now You're Playing with Power poster,
so cool.
There's a rush there. It's like, dude, that is awesome. Or like I think it's the Konami games or the Ultra games that you pull out, and it's got like all the games like coming up or that they're like promoting, and it's just like, oh yeah,
it just takes you back. It's a time capsule, and I feel like the new games don't have that.
Yeah.
There's one more thing that we want to talk about, but let's talk about this beer. The Bourbon County Fox Stout. It's a stout aged in bourbon barrels, blended with Earl Grey tea, black tea, and honey. To be honest, I wasn't super excited for this, but I love this.
Yeah, this is maybe the best variant of Bourbon County we've had this year. The tea component leaves some bitterness on the finish. That's where I'm picking that up. But on the front side of this beer is your Bourbon County Stout, and it's very laced with that honey flavor.
Oh, it's so good.
It's very sweet. And it's really weird because it's kind of a drier beer. I feel like it dries and it's got that bitter tea from like maybe the black tea that's in there that's coming through. This is a true joy. Again, I think it's a landslide that this was the best variant that we had this year.
I'm pleasantly surprised by this. This is so good. It has that really good tea element, you know, like when you're sick and you're drinking tea. But I'm not sick, and I'm drinking tea, and it's freaking delicious, man. This is so good. Just, it's so smooth. I feel like it doesn't have the burn that the other bourbon counties do. I wonder how well this beer, like if you were to age this one, like what would happen? Would the sweetness keep coming out?
I wish we had another bottle of it. We only got one, so it's kind of a one-off for us. But
this is delicious.
Yeah. Right, kind of the last thing we want to talk about and why we think we need to enjoy video game collecting while it lasts, at least in its current form. There will always be someone that's nostalgic trying to collect things, but this hyper-aware where there's YouTube videos and there's thrift stores and there's garage sales and you can get all this nostalgic stuff out in the wild, which is getting harder and harder to do, but a lot of people are still doing it. Is the length of games, you know, you kind of brought up that point, and that games have less replay value, which kind of circles back to our annual release talk earlier in the episode. Kids may not want to necessarily grab a game and play through it again because it was like a 250-hour beat.
Yeah, so like, they get a new game day one, and it's a super long game. It's a badass experience. You put all this time into it, you beat it, and then you go back and look at it. You're like, man, I already put this many hours into it.
Yeah.
I've already done everything you can do. I don't really want to play this again.
Well, it kind of reminds me, just a couple days ago, we were all talking, and I was talking with Captain Algebra, and we were talking about Super Mario Bros. And I was like, I like it because I can pop it in and just jam it out. And he's like, I feel the same way about Contra and Super C. I can put it in and beat it in like 25 or 30 minutes, get out of there, and I had my time. There's no games like that.
There is going to be a small niche community of gamers that didn't play those games when they first came out, so there will be some like value to them because they're like, now I finally have time to play Red Dead 2.
Or I found it like on the cheap.
So it's like, so that's kind of nice, but if you've already played it and beat it 100%, you're not going to want to play it again. Like, for me, I'm playing Arkham Knight right now, and I'm going for 100%. Once I 100% it, am I going to play it again? Probably not, because I've spent so much time in it.
I think that same argument applies even to stuff that we do collect, or for consoles we do collect for. Like, I will never go back and beat Grand Theft Auto Vice City again because I 100%ed the game. I did everything that you could. I love the game. It will always be my favorite Grand Theft Auto game. I guess I can't say always because I don't know what Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to bring to the table, but as of now, it's my favorite. But I put so much time into it, even on the PS2, that there's so many other things that I need to experience.
And you're like, man, it was awesome. It was a badass experience, but I just don't have the time.
And where I get my nostalgia for the game is when I see other people playing it, or I can recommend it to someone and they're like, man, that really was cool, or I can hear the soundtrack, things like that. I don't need to go play it again. Been there, done that.
So that's what we think the future of video game collecting is going to look like. Yeah, I feel like it's going to be pretty dim and pretty slim pickings.
I just think this time that we have, in this maybe community that is watching this video, just enjoy it while it lasts. I think as this stuff cycles through, we're already seeing the market kind of kind of dip down a little bit on maybe the 8-bit era stuff. Atari's super cheap now.
Yeah.
I feel like the NES is kind of coming down in certain areas. You can get so many great NES games anymore for $6 to $12 range. There are still your dingers, of course, but there's so many great games you could get for a very reasonable price. Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, unfortunately, haven't seen that market kind of readjustment, but I think it will. And we've seen kind of now the spikes more in the GameCube and Nintendo Wii
because
area.
those kids are now adults with disposable income.
PS2's getting crazy. Like, dude, I was just telling Robert before this, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or whatever one it was that I told you about, on the PS2 is like a $35 game now.
What?
So
that's crazy.
Those kids are starting to get nostalgic, but if you think that the GameCube and the PS2 and the Wii are on the rise, that means the Xbox 360 and the PS3 aren't far behind. Then we're looking at the Wii U, and then we're looking at current gen stuff.
And it's going to be
I think that's where we're going to see kind of
it drops off a cliff.
Yeah, the passion for collecting, I think, will dissipate. We'll see what it brings.
And we could be wrong.
Could totally be wrong. But I just think we need to live it up and enjoy this time while it lasts, because I think we're living kind of in the golden age. This is the golden age. I don't know. That's just our thoughts. Let us know in the comment section below what you think the future holds for video game collecting as a whole. And we always appreciate you tuning in, subscribing to the channel. We'll see you around next time, right here on Gaming Off the Grid.
But with all those different avenues and streets and blocks.
Yeah. Let me tell you something, Mean Gene. You know something, dude? Sergeant Slaughter wants to align himself with the Iraqis, brother. Well, Hulk Hogan says, no way, dude. It's all about the USA, man.
Collecting, and you go back, you get the manuals, you get the paintings, or the...
Rick. All right, speaking of Rick, yeah. Carl. Dude, I love that. Carl. The way he says it. Carl. Whoa.
Wow.
That's a unique brew.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It kind of has like a bitter tea finish, but it's like sweet.
And it doesn't have that burn.
Oh, that shit is so fucking sweet, bro.
Sweet, dude, bro. No, they're all super long. It's just,
My nose is about to drip. I can't take it. I can't take it.